Shalom, shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. It's Brother Roman here with another lesson for you. I got my brother in the building with me. You can introduce yourself out.
Hey, Shalom, family. Shalom. How's it going?
Um, like I said, we back at you with another lesson today. And today the lesson is enduring persecution. Because when you come into this truth, when you're ready to take this walk, you have to be able to endure persecution because that's most definitely going to come upon you. If you think you're going to have an easy walk in this, then you're sadly mistaken. Um, And this lesson is to help you prepare for persecution and just to understand that there is going to come times where you have to face persecution. So, without further ado, let's get it started. First precept we got, give me 2 Timothy 3:12.
Con. This is the book of Second Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 12. And it reads, Yeah, and all that will live, godly in Christ Jesus, shall suffer persecution.
So, it says that if you come to live in the way of the Most High and live in the way of Yahweh Shai, that you are going to face persecution because you're not living like the world, you're not acting like the world, you're living set apart, you're being different, you're operating on a different level than everybody's operating on. And some people are gonna hate you for that, they're gonna curse you for that, they're gonna make fun of you, disrespect you for that, but you have to know that you're doing this for the right reason. And this is for the Most High. And if you're doing it for the Most High, it doesn't really matter the things that you face because you're always going to be able to overcome it. Christ had to face persecution his whole entire life for us. So we just kind of have to understand that, hey, we're kind of on that mission too, we're going to have to face persecution. He faced persecution for us. Now we have to face the persecution for him. So um, give me John 15:18.
Con. This is the book of John, chapter 15, and verse 18. And it reads,
Bring that out.
If the world hates you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you.
So Christ tells us if the world is going to start hating you, just know it hated me before it hated you. So that's another one going into Christ had to face persecution his whole entire life. They hated Christ. They hated Christ because Christ had the Holy Spirit. Christ operated how we were supposed to operate. And people seen Christ and they knew that they weren't living like they thought they were living. People thought they were righteous. But what happened? They seen Christ and he was the example of righteousness on how we're supposed to live. And he had to face persecution for that. So he tells us if the world hated you, know that they hated me before they hated you. But that's also how you know when you're walking in that spirit of Christ because the world is going to hate you because you're living right. You make people feel some type of way about how they're living because you're living righteous. So it all goes into facing this persecution that we have to face, walking for the Most High, walking in the way of Yahweh Shai, how He walked on earth. So that's another good one. Just know if the world hates you, it hated Christ before it hated you. So give me First Peter 4:12.
Con. You said First Peter 4 and 12, right?
Yeah. Uh,
This is the book of First Peter, chapter 4 and verse 12. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice
so
in
with that is saying, oh, you can stop by. You can hold that right there. So it says, think not strange concerning the fiery trial that's going to come upon you. So there's going to come some times where things aren't always good. Things are going bad. You're going through stuff. Don't think of it as strange. Just think of it as a reproving point, a testing period, you know, a time where your faith is going to be tested. And also if you're going to walk in the Most High, even when things go bad. So keep reading now. Go ahead.
verse 13. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory
Keep
shall be
going.
revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy.
So it says, but rejoicing as much as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering. So the same things that you're going through, Christ had to go through. When people persecute you, when people look down upon you, speak bad upon you, treat you mean, they did that to Christ. You're partaking in Christ's sufferings. These are the things you're going to have to go through when you're ready to take this walk with the Most High, move in the way that Christ did when he walked on earth. These are the things you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to go through these things because this is when you're a holy and a set apart people, the world looks at you different because you're moving different. You're not moving with all the sheep. You're moving different. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to the slaughter. You're taking that narrow route. So you have to understand that these things we are partaking in Christ's sufferings because Christ had to go through these same exact things. If not, and he went through them a whole lot harder than we did. People persecuted him his whole life, especially in his adulthood. So all the way up until his crucifixion. So you have to understand we're partaking in Christ's sufferings because we're living. If we're truly living how Christ was living, we're gonna partake in those sufferings because you're living set apart, and this comes with living set apart because the world doesn't like you living set apart because you expose the flaws in them. So keep reading that out. Read 14.
Verse 14. If ye be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye. For the spirit of glory and of God resteth upon you. On their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified.
So this goes into saying, if you're reproached for the name of Christ, happy are ye. So if people are coming at you wrong, disrespecting you, looking at you crazy, acting different with you, and persecuting you because of Christ, happy are ye because you're doing this for the right reason, the best reason, because you're following our brother Hamashiach Yahushua, and you're moving in the spirit of the Most High, moving in the spirit of Christ. So if you're reproached for these reasons, then it's not a bad thing. It's just that they don't understand and have the understanding that you have about what's really going on. So take that with cheer, take it with gladness and glory. Just understand that, hey, I'm being persecuted for Christ. You're not being persecuted for folly, for BS, for things that don't matter, for vanity. You're being persecuted for Christ, for Hamashiach Yahushua, because you're living how he was living. So next, give me 1 Peter 3:14.
This is 1 Peter chapter 3 and verse 14. And it reads, But if ye suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye.
Hold that. So it says, if you suffer for righteousness' sake, happy are ye. So if you're suffering for righteousness and you're going through it for righteousness, you're being persecuted for righteousness, happy are ye, because you don't understand what you have waiting at the end because you're choosing to suffer for righteousness. Righteousness is a great thing. It's a good thing. It could be hard trying to move in the spirit of righteousness, but there's a reward for your labor. There's a reward for you being righteous. There's a reward for you obeying the Most High. So when you suffer in righteousness to be able to move in the spirit of the Most High and do what the Most High tells you to do, it says, happy are you. So keep reading, Mark.
And be not afraid of their terror, neither be troubled.
So be not afraid of their terror, and neither be troubled, because if you're moving in the spirit of righteousness, you're moving in the spirit of the Most High and walking in the way of Yahweh Shai, you know that you have the Most High God behind you. And who can come against you when you have that? Matter of fact, this is on the fly one. Give me Romans 8 and 31.
This is Romans 8, this is Romans 8, verse 31. What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
So if God be for us, who can be against us? And this goes into it again, why you have to suffer patiently what's going on and suffer patiently the tribulation and the persecution that you're going to face, because if God's with you, who can be against you? So keep reading that.
Verse 32.
First Peter 1 and 14. And you can start at 15.
Let me get that real quick. This is First Peter chapter 3 and verse 15. But sanctify the Lord God in your hearts, and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and fear.
So it says, be ready to always give an answer. So when these people ask you why you serve God, why you choose to walk in the way of the Most High, why you change your life, why are you moving holy, always be ready to give them an answer. It's the Most High God. Let them know why you're walking. Let them know why you're fearful of the Creator. Let them know why you're moving in this different spirit. Glorify your Father which is in heaven. So now jump down to 18. Jump down to 17.
Verse 17. For it is better, if the will of God be so, that ye suffer for well doing than for evil doing.
So it's better that you suffer for well doing than for evil doing. Because if you're suffering for doing evil, there's no reward in that besides death. So if you're suffering for doing well, just know the reward at the end of it is what? The kingdom of heaven. You know, that's the biggest reward that we're going to get as being Israelites. So we have to understand that. We have to understand that suffering for good is way better than suffering for evil. So whenever things get hard and you start to go through it, just keep going. Keep going. The Most High is always going to make a way for His righteous people. He's always going to make a way. A lot of us coming into this truth is proof that He'll make a way for you. So we have to understand that it's better to suffer for good than to suffer for evil. Keep reading.
God. Verse 18.
18.
For Christ also have once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death
So
in the
hold that. So it says Christ suffered for sins, the just for the unjust. So Christ had to suffer for us. He never did anything wrong, but he had to suffer for us. He had to go through persecution for us. He had a mission that he had to fulfill for us because he was without sin. So he obeys the Most High. So he had to suffer for us. He took his persecution on the chin and he kept going. He kept his faith in his Father. He kept moving in the Spirit. He kept being righteous. He was an example on how we were supposed to live. So we should really take into his example and really be followers of Christ and how he moved. So you can drop that. Give me Matthew 5 and 10.
God. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 10. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
So blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. So when you're being persecuted, blessed are you if you're persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed if you're persecuted for keeping the commandments. Blessed if you're persecuted for keeping your faith in the Most High, Yahweh Shai. Blessed are you if you're being persecuted, disrespected, looked different, cast out, having arguments with your family, having fallouts with people. If you're doing all that for righteousness' sake, then blessed are you, for the kingdom of heaven is yours. You have to understand that we have to go through these things. We have to be able to get through these things because this world that we're living in is a very wicked place. So what happens when you're being righteous and you're standing, you're walking in righteousness? You stand out. So what happens? People are going to look at you different, but it's okay because at the end of the road, you have the kingdom. If you're going to be persecuted for righteousness' sake, the kingdom of heaven is yours. These are Christ's words. Yahweh Shai said this. He told us this. So he's showing you that, hey, even though you're going to face persecution, that there's something at the end of the road for you. So just take it with cheer, take it on the chin, be a man, stand up bold when you go through these trials and these tribulations, and you'll be good. You know what I'm saying? You'll be good. So that's just, we have to take persecution and we have to endure it, especially for righteousness' sake. So now give me Luke 6 and 22.
Let me get there. You had said Luke. You sure it's Luke
6:22.
26? Oh, 6 and 22.
Huh?
Slack here.
Six and
I thought you
22.
said
Yeah, con.
26. Yeah, you're good. So this is the book of Luke, chapter 6 and verse 22. And it reads, Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake.
So when people start to hate you, to cast you out, to start to treat you different, to speak ill of you, to do things behind your back, being deceitful, when they do all this and they reproach you because you do this for the Son of Man's sake, just know you're blessed. Because guess what? The Most High sees everything. There's nothing done on this earth that He misses. And I think some people don't really understand the fullness of that, but you have to understand the Most High God sees everything. There's nothing, you're not going to get nothing by Him. You can't trick Him. You can't do anything in the dark and He doesn't see. It doesn't work like that. So when you're going through all these things, He see that. That's why He's telling you multiple times that, hey, blessed are you if you go through these things, because He sees that you're going through these things and you're enduring for righteousness' sake. You're gonna face persecution when you come into this thing, because the people in your life, the people in the world, once you start living different, they're gonna start looking at you different, treating you different, acting different with you, because you're living righteous, you're living set apart, you're not moving with the crowd anymore, you're not sheep going to the slaughter anymore, you're not doing that. You've officially set your part set it or you've officially set yourself apart from this world. So it says, blessed are ye when men hate you, when they shall separate from you, because we don't have no business being with sinners anyway. So that's really a blessing in itself if you really think about it. So, and it says, and remove their, and shall reproach you and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake, because people are going to call you evil when you start to tell people that they're moving different, or when you start to tell people that they're not doing this, or you explain to them that everybody can't be saved, people are going to call you evil. But the truth is the truth, and the scriptures are the scriptures, and the scriptures don't lie. So people are going to cast you out for this, but just know, blessed are you, because the Most High sees everything. He sees you're enduring for this thing. So give me Romans 8:35.
Con. This is the book of Romans, chapter 8 and verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of Christ? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or a sword?
So it says, who shall separate you from Christ? So it begins to name these things that people can go through that'll make them what? Stop believing, stop keeping the commandments, stop living
Con,
right. But are you going to let these things separate you from Christ when these things come upon you? Are you going to let these things cause you to disobey the Most God when these things come upon you? You should know, don't let them. Because one thing about it is the Most High God, He sees what you're going through. And if He sees that you're enduring and that you continue to do right, He'll deliver you from these things. And Christ is trying to get this point to us. Have faith in your Father. You have to have faith in the Most High, because the Most High can do anything. There's nothing impossible for the Most High. So when He gives you a test, sometimes you don't know what's at the end of that test. We have to keep our faith in the Most High and keep doing His commandments, no matter what befalls us and what comes upon us, because we're going to face a lot of persecution. We're facing it now, and we're going to face even more in the future. So we have to understand that we have to keep our faith, keep keeping the commandments, and keep going towards God. We have to keep chasing the Most High, keep following the Most High, keep seeking the Most High. And what's going to happen? He's going to deliver us from our troubles. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, Israel. Please keep that in mind. Give me Romans 5:3.
con. This is the book of Romans, chapter 5 and verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience.
So it says that we glory in tribulation. Why? Because tribulations build you up. When you get through tribulations, it can do one of two things. It can break you down or it can build you up. The purpose of the Most High giving you tribulation is to help you build, especially for men, because men, they 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 grow in adversity. So you have to go through these things. You have to get through these things, because once you do, you'll be a better man coming out of that. You'll be a stronger man coming out of that. The Most High doesn't just do these things because he wants to see his righteous people destroyed. He does this because he wants to build you up, because you have to be able to, you have to be mentally prepared for the things you're going to see in the future. And you have to be physically prepared and spiritually prepared over all. You have to be spiritually prepared, because some of these things really put a damper on your spirit, and then you'll start to go back into the world, move how you're not supposed to move, and then now you're all over the place. So it says that, and not only so, but we glory in tribulation, because we know that if we get through this tribulation, we'll be stronger when we come out of it. So that's something that prepare yourself for. Understand it's going to come. Understand that everything's not always going to be good all the time in this captivity. It's not. It's not. We're not in our holy land. We're not under sovereignty right now of our own. We still have to deal with Esau. We still got to deal with these other nations. We have to work for them to pay our rent. So right now, everything is not going to be good, but this is not our rest. So we have to understand tribulations are going to come, but take it. Take the tribulation, take it for what it is, build yourself off of it, get through it, but also use it as a way to what? Sharpen your faith, sharpen your mental, and also keep yourself physically strong in case that ever come upon you. So, just, glory in your tribulation. So keep reading that. Oh, okay, well, you finished it. Yeah, in tribulation, it work in patience, because you know that, hey, okay, I have to be patient in this tribulation, because things happen to people, and what happen? They try to rush to get out of it, and they end up in a deeper hole. Sometimes you have to be able to think, slow down, and be patient. But okay, how am I gonna navigate myself through this? Patience is a virtue. We all heard that before. So be patient when you endure tribulation, because the Most High, there's a purpose for it. Everything he does is for a purpose. He doesn't do anything for nothing. That's not how the Most High operates. So, give me Ecclesiasticus, and then you can start from the top.
Let me get that real
Two.
quick.
Give me two. Yeah.
2 and 1.
Yeah.
All good, brother. Let me find it. All right, this is Sirach chapter 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation.
So if you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation. And that doesn't mean just lustful temptation. It doesn't just mean temptation from wanting to have money, or just wanting to eat pork and smoke weed and excessively drink and all that. But there's also the temptation of wanting to go back into the world, quitting on this truth because it gets a little bit hard. You have to endure these temptations. Keep reading.
Verse 2. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not
So set
haste in time of trouble.
Go ahead, finish that.
Salakia. I'm going to reread it. Set thy heart aright
Okay.
and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble.
So that goes back into being patient, because it says, set thy heart aright and constantly endure. You have to constantly endure these things that are come upon you, because they're going to come upon you multiple times. This is not our rest. So we're in a situation right now where things are going to come upon us. But constantly endure and make not haste in time of trouble. Be patient. Think. Learn how to navigate yourself through these situations. Don't just move just to move. Keep reading.
Verse 3. Cleave unto him, and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end.
So cleave unto the Most High God and depart not away from him. Keep faith in him, because at thy last end you shall be increased. Because what's going to happen if you keep your faith in him and you keep his commandments? What is he going to do? He's going to rise you above these tribulations that you're going through. So we have to keep that in mind. Always cleave to the Most High when things are going bad, because he's the only one that can deliver you from it. Keep reading.
Verse 4. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate.
So whatever is brought upon you, take it cheerfully. Understand that, hey, okay, there's probably a purpose for this. The Most High is probably testing me. How do I get through this? How do you get through it? You keep faith in the Most High, keep His commandments, you pray, you fast, and you cleave to the Most High. And it says, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. So whenever you feel like you were up here and then you've been brought down here, be patient. Be patient, because there's probably a lesson that needs to be learned. And it's probably something that when you get back up high again, guess what? You're gonna know this now. You're gonna be able to prepare for this now. You're gonna understand these things, and you're gonna have a better understanding of why the Most High did this to you. Keep reading.
Slakia.
You're on fire.
God. For gold is tried in the fire and accepted man in furnace of adversity.
So gold is tried in the fire and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So you have to go through the fire. That's how gold is refined. Okay. And what are we? We're the Most High silver and the Most High is gold. So what is he going to do? He's going to test us. He's going to give us adversity to see it. What are we going to do? You're going to fall out of this truth. You're going to turn away from God, or you're going to seek God harder. You know what I mean? Look at David. David went through what? Adversity. And what did he do? He seek the Most High even harder. So that's a perfect example of, even when you fall, even when you go through tribulation and you're going through things, you can always get back up and continue to seek the Most High. All right. So now, last one. Give me Baruch 4:25.
Come. Get that Baruch. Just a sec. Baruch is before Sirach, right?
It's right after Sirach.
Right after Sirach. 4:35.
25.
25. This is Baruch chapter 4 and verse 25. My children, suffer patiently the wrath that is come upon you from God. For thine enemy have persecuted thee, but shortly thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck.
So it says, my children suffered patiently the wrath that has come upon you from God. So suffer patiently. Yeah, you're going through stuff, but just be patient. Suffer patiently, because there's a reward at the end of this. And it says, for thine enemy has persecuted thee. So people are going to persecute you, your own people and the heathens. But it says, surely thou shalt see his destruction and shalt tread upon his neck. So you're suffering persecution right now, but surely you're going to be on top. These are the Most High God's words. So keep reading.
Verse 26. My delicate
Jump down to
ones.
27.
27.
Yeah, jump to 27. Yeah.
Be a good comfort, O my children, and cry unto God. For ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you.
So it says, be of good comfort, my children, and cry unto God. So when you go through these things, cry out to God. Cry out to God. It said, for ye shall be remembered of him that brought these things upon you. If the Most High God, he brought these things upon you, but guess what? He's going to remember that he does that. He's going to remember that he did that to you. What is he going to do? You keep the faith, you keep the commandments, you keep seeking God, and he's going to get you through it and deliver you from it. You see, so God's telling you, just be patient, be strong, and endure, because he's gonna get you through these things if you continue to endure for righteousness. So with that one, I'm gonna yield, and I hope you guys are edified through the Spirit. I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. I say Shalom.
Shalom, family.